I mean, let's talk about your documentary. When did you first get in contact with Tim and his team and learn about his efforts?
I got a call from a friend of mine named Russell Brunson just before Halloween in October of 2017. And he said, hey, would you make a movie to help kids in sex trafficking? I'm like, well, of course. And he said, we have to do it fast. And so we started filming. We started planning in November. We filmed in December, January, February, and we premiered to 3,000 people in March, on March 21st. So it was a very quick endeavor.
That is one of the fastest turnarounds I've ever heard of.
Me too. It was unbelievable. I mean, I learned the story as I went, really, which was amazing because I knew the cause was great, but I also knew that the reason the organization started was based on a little boy named Gardy who was abducted in Haiti, and so I knew I needed to go to Haiti to get some interviews. And so I said, Tim, we got to go to Haiti. He said, okay, great. And then we're about to fly to Haiti, and Tim says, hey, great news. We're doing a raid, so you get to film a raid. I'm like, oh, great news. So I didn't tell my wife or my kids or anybody, and we executed a raid, and that's really the movie's sort of bookends. It's about the whole organization, but it's bookended with a raid.
Well, that's awesome. However, I mean, how did you get the permissions to do that and, you know, safety precautions and things like that for your crew?
Yeah, the great news is that, so Tim Ballard is former CIA and Homeland Security, the guys who run his operations. So he has a director of operations, which, like in corporate world, would be like he crosses the T's, dots the I's. Well, this guy directs the operations, the missions, and so he's an ex-Navy SEAL. So we were with 2 attorney generals, we were with ex-CIA, Homeland Security, Navy SEALs, and Haitian Special Forces, and so safety was a huge concern, but they handled it really well. And they're in 15 countries. They will only, they don't have any jurisdiction to operate without the government there. So they operate really well in tandem with all these governments around the world. So they're really great at what they do, but as in most cases, it's down to the wire whether you're going to get to execute the operation or not. We're able to, in ours, it was a big operation against organized crime. So I think the biggest concern for us was we were having to pay off the police, but had the other side paid them more to know we were coming. So it was an interesting, a once in a lifetime experience.
That's pretty amazing. Are you going to have any future work with Operation Toussaint to, you know, keep helping them along, keep promoting them as much as you can?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's sort of when you see what they do and how they do it. So Tim is sort of the real-life Captain America. It's what he does and just the way he operates around the world. And he really honors and respects the people in the countries, and he won't go into a country if they don't have adequate aftercare, which is amazing because the hope really goes away if you get rescued once and then sucked back in again. And so, yeah, absolutely, I can't help but have 3 kids of my own, and you know what we see. The unfortunate thing about the movie, unfortunately, is we did this mission in Haiti. We could have done a mission like this in Dallas, but the problem is there's so much liability with the U.S. law enforcement and other things. They do a great job, but we can't film much. So what I don't want people to lose is the fact that we went to a foreign country to do this, but it's happening in your own neighborhoods. It's happening in high-end suburban neighborhoods in every city in America and probably every city in the world. So I want people to understand that, and I regret that we couldn't show more of that. It's just sort of the way it works.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, Austin, Texas is one of your top 3 hubs for sex trafficking in the United States.
It's happening everywhere, and the more you dig into it, the sadder it is. There's people taking advantage of women, children, girls everywhere you go. And if you think it's not happening in your neighborhood, you're just absolutely wrong. If you think you live in a gated neighborhood, so it's not here. People just find ways to take advantage of other people and they really hold them hostage. I mean, things like taking advantage of a young girl and then saying, hey, we filmed all that, and so if you don't do what we tell you to do, we're going to put this on the internet. And so it just starts from there, grooming on social media. I mean, again, I got 3 kids, and you should be diligent. I don't think you should. Don't freak out. Just be actively involved in what's happening and understand it's happening. This happens. There are people around the world everywhere who want to take advantage of people who don't know what they're doing.
No point living in denial.
Absolutely. I think it's there's a really great case to watch films like this and know what's going on. I think the great thing about this film, the guy who called me to make it, neither of us wanted to make it if we couldn't help show some sort of hope and some sort of solution. And I think Tim and his team are trying to tackle it, 1, 2, 3 kids at a time, and I love what he's doing.
Well, you mentioned earlier Tim is very intent on working with countries that have aftercare programs in place. And I noticed that on Operation Toussaint's website as well, that half of what we do is rescue, half of what we do is aftercare. So, gosh, how do you keep it centered on the country where you are, not create another type of dependency, another type of false net, if you will.
I mean, the great news is that we sort of, I say we have gotten more involved in the organization. I couldn't help it. But when you, there's nothing that OUR can do without the government. There's nothing. Like, there's no jurisdiction. I mean, Tim, when he left the government, he shed his badge, shed his gun, shed everything. And some of the countries you go into, they try to give you a gun. I'm like, oh, I'm good. But you guys do that. I'll just make the doc. But you know, you just have to. I think what OUR does. So, like, for instance, in Haiti, they're setting up an entire system and center with the government where OUR is bringing in, and OUR is funding the training, and they're training their special forces on how to not only execute a raid, but how to make sure the aftercare is set up correctly. So it's all about creating sustainable things. And if you follow OUR on any social media, the great news is that, like, I've worked with a lot of organizations that are so proud of what they do, they sort of forget there's anybody else doing it. You'll find, I was surprised actually, they share a lot of operations and mission success that they weren't involved in at all. They're like, hey, check out our friends over in India doing this, look what they just did, it's awesome, let's keep supporting this. And all of our goal, I think all of us in the world, our goal is to put this business out of business. And so OUR truly walks the walk, they don't talk the talk.
Nick, thank you so much for your work, and thank you for being here. Hope you enjoy yourself.